In this video, we'll go over the signal flow of Cherry Audio's Polymode virtual instrument. Because of its string machine on steroids voice architecture, the signal flow of the original Polymode differs from the typical analog synth, oscillator, filter, VCA voice configuration. It starts with two polyphonic oscillator ranks. These are combined in the rank mix section. In Polymode, the oscillator mix is controlled by the rank mix slider. From here, the signal goes to the VCA, which acts as an automated volume control for each note played, with the amplitude curve independently shaped for each note played via the controls in the Amplitude Envelope section. From the VCA, the signal gets split and is sent to the Resonator section, the preset mode filters, the single voltage controlled filter, and it also bypasses the filters altogether up here and feeds the master gain mixer along with the filters. And as you can see, unlike most analog synths, the VCA is positioned before the filters. One important thing to know is that the amplitude envelope is polyphonic. In other words, each note played will cycle through its own attack, decay, and sustain stages. Conversely, the VCF and its associated envelope generator are paraphonic. In other words, there's just one VCF and VCF envelope generator for the entire instrument. This isn't too important when you're playing sustained organ or string type sounds, but it's not ideal for spikier percussive filter envelopes such as piano or guitar sounds. But with that said, Polymode really is more suited to long sustained pad-like sounds anyway. Besides its paraphonic implementation, the VCF should otherwise look pretty familiar if you've messed around with analog synths. It's a 24 dB per octave ladder type filter with standard cutoff, resonance, and keyboard tracking controls, along with an ADS envelope generator and an envelope amount control. The mode filters might appear a little confusing, but they're actually really simple. On the original instrument, these were baked into the front panel preset sounds. On Polymode, we've liberated them from the presets, and they act like fixed filter curves with no sound editing parameters. Conceptually, they're something like the preset EQ curves you might find in a car stereo or on an iPod. These can be useful on their own, or they're even more useful when you combine them with the other filter types using the master gain mixer sliders. And by the way, the front panel presets are recreated in their entirety in Polymode's Factory Sounds preset bank. The Resonator section is Polymode's most interesting and unique filter. We won't get super deep into it here, but basically speaking, it consists of three parallel state variable filters, with each one covering a portion of the audio spectrum, divided into low, medium, and high frequencies. These can be set to be low-pass, bandpass, notch, or high-pass filters, with two filter slope choices, and the controls have a lot of modulation options. As you may have guessed, the Resonator section can make a lot of different sounds, and it's probably worthy of an entire video of its own. As mentioned before, there's a direct signal path from the poly oscillator ranks to the mixer that bypasses all three filters. This may seem superfluous, but it's actually very useful because the phase cancellation of combining the three filters in direct signals creates all kinds of interesting tone colors as you move the master gain sliders. And because of this, on the original instrument, it's kind of a bummer that there's no way to CV the master gain sliders, but with Polymode, we've added CV controls to all four sliders. Following the master gain mixer, the signal travels through the ensemble, phaser, echo, and reverb effects. All four of the effects are stereo, so the mono synth signal becomes stereo after the ensemble. The only exception is that the ensemble becomes mono when it's in trichorus mode, but the other three effects are always full stereo. Incidentally, we made the trichorus mono only, so it would authentically sound like a vintage Selena or Art Omni, because trichorus doesn't really sound correct in stereo. Finally, from the effects, the signal travels through the master volume knob into the mix outputs.